In 1997, Sallie Mae becomes privately owned. The government sells it out, and look at the mess that begins. There's an explosion of people going to college when Sallie Mae sells this bill of goods, and then the debt begins. The crisis begins in the mid-2000s. Sallie Mae now owns $162.5 billion of student debt, or nearly 20% of all student debt in the country. They have grown into that privately owned corporation that is too big to fail.
The image that came in my head is now when I look at my monthly budget, I feel like I'm applying this month's money to the last 10 or 15 years of my life, instead of what if this month's money was for the next, was moving forward.
My fellow seminary students graduate from seminary. Many times they go back to their first careers because they are now faced with a large amount of debt. They are faced with few ministerial opportunities that are in their area because they have to stay in the area because their family and whatever vocational ties are there. They're really back to square one.
Because all of their members are in debt.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a cycle.
I don't tithe to my own church because I can't afford it.
Right.
I mean, I have so much other debt that tithing to my church, it's not possible.
Let's be clear here. People who are in debt or people who are not business owners, we don't have our hands out. You know, that's not what's going on here, but for some reason that's the thought for other people who are doing well, that we somehow, that those less fortunate have their hand out, they always want a handout, they're always looking for an easy way out, and that's not the case, but that's the mindset. Just like I think he was saying that there was no poor visibly in his church, but I'm sure they were just in disguise. They looked like everything was great, but it probably wasn't. Because no one's going to say that I'm having a hard time when it looks like everyone isn't. No one's going to speak up about that. Like, no one's going to say, oh, I need to go to the Salvation Army to get clothes and things. No one's going to talk about that because of the pride that we have and keeping up appearances or keeping up with the Joneses. So no one's going to admit that I'm having a hard time because it makes you look weak or it makes you look like you need assistance, which is bad because we're supposed to be taking care of ourselves. We're all supposed to have bootstraps and we're supposed to be pulling them up, you know. So, but like my cousin said, what if you don't have shoes? There's nothing to pull up, you know. So it's like, so I mean, that's really it's the mindset that we're fighting here.
And that's what a lot of people feel like. They feel like a failure because they didn't live up to these stupid expectations that society puts on all of us, that you have to succeed, but you have to get married, have kids, have the perfect job by 30. Well, with student debt, you have to have another story.
And it's insane because these are other human beings, right? Like they're somehow the same, and they go to church, I guess, or at least pretend like they go to church. And like they just don't care, and it's mind-blowing to me how I don't know how these people got like this.
Sallie Mae, corporate chair, is among the richest men in America, right? I mean, we just need to name that.
And I don't know how corporations count as people these days, but apparently they're legally people.
That's when there's no conscience in the top rooms anymore. That's when it transitions. When it's publicly owned to when it's privately owned, all hell breaks loose. I think that faith gives us courage to say the things, that's what I heard in John's words, courage and conviction and honesty and truth. Faith gives us that. We may find that from other sources too. I'm not saying that you can't get it from philosophy and you can't get it from literature and you can't get it, but faith does that. I mean, it can do that, and I've seen it happen. Let's hold on to each other. Amen.
Amen.